Karl, what would you do if you won £1 million?
Not fucking YouTube, that's for sure. For a lot of people, their wildest fantasy is to somehow acquire a large amount of money by doing fuck all. In 2001, a disgraced British Army major almost realised this dream by going onto a British quiz show and getting a friend in the audience to cough a lot.
So I don't think I've met a single British person who doesn't know this story.
No, but we do have a lot of viewers from outside of Blighty, so we should talk about it in a bit more detail so we're all on the same page, because holy shit, you're in for a ride today, folks. This story is brilliant. So in 2001, a dude called Charles Ingram went on a show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which you can probably guess has a top prize of £1 million.
Before we get onto the topic of what he actually did on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire,
Yes.
I don't know who Charles Ingram actually is, just what he did.
Not a lot of people do, but it's actually fascinating to read up on him, because obviously his one sole tenuous claim to fame is the fact that he once tried to cheat a British quiz show out of £1 million. And you think for most people, I'm going to try and hide that information about myself. I don't want that to be the first thing that pops up when someone Googles my name. Charles Ingram, though, has relished the notoriety he's gained from this, to the point where, if you go on his Wikipedia page, he's released this image into the public domain. So he walked into his kitchen with his wife, posed for that fucking photo, and then went and released it into the public domain on a Wikipedia page solely dedicated to discussing what a slimy, cheating dickhead he is.
Wait, hold the phone. Public domain?
Oh yeah, Brad, it's in the public domain, so you can do whatever the fuck you want with this image, and he has absolutely no legal recourse whatsoever. So yeah, I think, make his wife have a big coughing head. Like, his wife is now coughing, and you know what? That jumper's pretty shit. So you know what? Make him wear the outfit that the honey monster wears. You can't stop us. Public domain, baby. That on its own is hilarious, but if you read his Wikipedia page and go down it, you'll see that he's very clearly added in some parts himself, which says, oh yes, in his free time, Charles Ingram likes to write shitty crime novels and occasionally helps sell his wife's jewellery online. It's like, no one cares. They're not here to read about that.
Personal life, Charles Ingram has a massive penis.
Does it not, though, piss you off that this guy is better at marketing himself than we are? This guy has probably got more fucking business savvy than we have. With that out of the way, let's talk about how Ingram rose to prominence. So in 2001, this guy applied to be on a show, as noted, called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Folks at home, as you can probably imagine, given that this guy allowed this image out into the public domain, not realising people can draw dicks on it, Charles Ingram is not a very smart man. So when he was accepted to appear on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, he realised, maybe I'm not going to be able to get to the very last question on my own. So he decided to enlist the help of a seasoned trivia buff called Tequin Whittock to help him with the answers.
How did Whittock help Ingram win?
He helped him by coughing. And probably people out there thinking, how do you help a guy win a quiz show by coughing? Well, that's a lot to do with the fact that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is quite unique in the fact that every contestant is given an unlimited amount of time to answer each and every question, to add to the drama. The problem with this is that it gave Ingram ample time to read out loud the answer to every single question he didn't know the answer to, which in turn would allow Whittock to loudly cough whenever Ingram said the correct answer.
Aristotle Onassis.
That coughs from Tequin Whittock, and that's the plan, to cough after Ingram reads out the right answers.
It's handy that the show they went on was a multiple choice quiz.
Yeah, it is, because if it was just a show about answering questions, it'd be a lot more difficult to do that. Because it's like, oh yeah, which king did so and so and so, and going, oh, it could be Henry I, or Henry II, or Henry III, or Henry V. Henry V, mate, it's Henry V.
Oh, just in the audience going in Morse code.
The thing is, though, that's not that far out of the realm of possibility, because there are other people who've tried to cheat Who Wants to Be a Millionaire out of money. It's just that Ingram's the most famous because he's the one who got £1 million. There was a huge epidemic of whenever anyone got accepted to appear on the show, they wouldn't, for the phone a friend lifeline, they wouldn't nominate a mate, they'd just go to pub quiz champions and ask them. And I am disappointed that this show didn't air, or it wasn't popular at least, around the same time as The Chase is. I'd love someone to have just gone, who's your phone a friend then? The Beast. And then just call up the fucking Beast. And if people don't know what we're talking about, the beast is a fucking, like, the word absolute unit was coined to describe this man. Because holy fuck, I've met him. He's fucking terrifying.
You've met the beast?
I was near him. I served him when I was working in an event once. He was sat down, he's as tall as I am. I'll put it that way. And people were posing for photos with him. They couldn't up to his fucking, like, he's there. It's terrifying.
Well played, guys.
As if having the entire collective knowledge of an entire second person at his disposal in a show designed to test one person wasn't dickish enough, Ingram also went right ahead and clued his wife into the series of coded coughs he and Wix could come up with so she could help him too.
A1 or Creed, David.
I'm assuming, seeing as we've got this entire video today, that he didn't get the million.
No, he won it, and then I think there was an investigation launched afterwards. I'm not sure if we'll be able to track it down, but there is a fascinating clip from a documentary where they play the actual phone call where they called Ingram up and told him that he wasn't going to get the £1 million because they were investigating, like, you know, accusations of cheating.
I have to tell you that these suspicions have been referred to the police.
Right.
And thus, we, for not for the moment, will be airing the programme or indeed authorising payment of the cheque.
And he just answers and goes, oh, okay, bye.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I completely refute that, obviously. All right, well, thanks for letting me know.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers, bye.
It's like, if he'd not cheated, he would have gone bananas in that phone call. He would have gone fucking eight. And he's like, the fact he just goes, oh, okay. He's like, that is, on its own, is the most blatant admission of guilt. The fact you are not at all annoyed that you are being denied £1 million you honestly won on national TV.
So I'm assuming that every single one of them denied it happened.
Oh yes, all three of them unequivocally disavowed any accusations of cheating, especially Whittock, who, when they asked him, so, Mr. Whittock, we've got footage here of you coughing every single time he gets the right answer. How do you explain that? And Whittock said, it's just coincidence. I've had a persistent racking cough my entire life. I can't help it.
I mean, it's a stretch, but coincidences do happen.
They do, they don't then. It may have been a coincidence that he just so happened to cough when Ingram said the right answer out loud 3 times in a row. But we should point out that Whittock himself also appeared on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire later. And he only won £1,000, by the way, because fuck him. And his cough had mysteriously disappeared. And can we just, for a moment, appreciate and respect the size of the balls it takes to say a lie like that when you know there is literal video evidence of you out there not doing the thing you said you did? So, oh no, I've suffered with a cough my entire life. Well, we've got the unedited raw cut of the 3 hours you were on the show yourself and you never coughed once. How do you explain that? Okay, maybe I didn't need to cough that day, but you've got no evidence that I knew the answer to any of the questions on that show. And they said, well, you're a seasoned trivia buff. And, yeah, well, I didn't know the answer to the specific questions asked that day. And, oh, okay, so here's a notebook we found in your house, and this bit's true, where you've written down various pieces of trivia in your handwriting, including a bit that's underlined, which is the answer to one of the questions that appeared on the show that Ingram said out loud that you coughed on the right answer for. There's nothing more. I can't think of a scenario as dumb as that. You sat there in court, and there's a guy there. Well, I didn't know the answer to any of those questions. Here's a handwritten notebook with the answer to the question in it, written by you. Yeah, I didn't know it though. So at that point, you just give up, don't you? I think that's what we're talking about. If you just kept saying that I just didn't do it. We are approaching Shaggy-esque levels of denial here, Al. It's like, I caught you. Your dick was inside the neighbour. Wasn't me.
One of my favourite tweets of all time came from Shaggy, where it was a couple of years back or something, he tweeted out, I can't hold it anymore, it was me.
Well played, Shaggy, well played.
What about Ingram's wife?
Well, she also flatly denied any wrongdoing whatsoever, and she was a bit smarter than Whittock was when it came to defending herself, because she didn't say, I've had a persistent racking cough my entire life. She said I had a sore throat that day, and that's a lot harder to disprove. But as cast iron as that defence is, I should probably point out that, Ingram's wife had appeared on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire before, and thus had insider knowledge of how the show works. Yes, all 3 of the people involved in this all appeared on the show. You can't make this shit up. Do you know how much she won? £32,000. And apparently that wasn't enough for him.
I mean, she went away very disappointed with £32,000. So I remember talking to her in the bar afterwards, and I said, "Great, congratulations." She said, "Yeah, only 32."
They won 32 grand. I want to know, who vets these shows? Because they went on with the same fucking last name. And she won. It's not like she won like a grand. She won £32,000. In like 2001 money. That's a lot of money. That's a deposit on a fucking house right there. As you can probably guess, folks, the courts didn't buy this story and found Ingram guilty of this crime right here. And he didn't get his £1 million. And he was really upset about it. And after that, because he was a major in the army's like, fuck this, we're taking away your commission. You're not a major anymore, fuck you. And since then, Ingram has flip-flopped between saying that being on the show has ruined his life, while simultaneously trying to cash in on his notoriety to sell books or his wife's shitty handmade jewellery.
So if he claims it ruined his life, I assume that he'd have learnt his lesson and not done anything like that again.
Oh, right, yeah, that is like, he's committed to being a better person, and like, he's sick and tired of like the one thing he's known for, being, a cheat on this show, when he's like grown as a person since then. Yeah, that could be the case if it wasn't for the fact that, 2 years later, he was accused of insurance fraud. And as a final note, for anyone who's a fan of, how's that word pronounced? Schadenfreude?
Schadenfreude.
Well, that word there, it may also interest you to know that a couple of years after that, Ingram accidentally cut off 3 of his toes after slipping on an apple. So I wouldn't ordinarily laugh at something like that, but fuck you, dude.
So that video was a bit wordy for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us through it, folks. It was a pain in the arse to record.
And a pain in the ass to edit. I imagine future Brad will enjoy.
Yeah.
So let's just do something dumb at the end.
Okay.
I reckon, do you know any really bad Christmas cracker jokes?
Oh, I know a shit ton of bad Christmas cracker jokes. People hate me for my bad Christmas cracker jokes. So I've got a load memorised. Do you want to hear some, Brad?
Go for it.
Folks at home? Okay, what do you call a guy with a spade in his head?
I don't know.
Doug. What do you call a guy without a spade in his head?
Not Doug?
Douglas.
Oh,
what do you call a guy with paper pants?
What?
Russell. What do you call a guy who's like, can swim with no arms or legs?
No idea.
Clever dick. What do you call a guy who can swim with no arms, legs, or a penis? Smart ass. What do you call a deer with no eyes?
Oh, I've no idea.
Yeah, what do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs?
Still no idea?
What do you call a deer with no eyes, no legs, chewing on a razor blade?
I don't know this one.
Still no bloody idea.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Right, let's change tack for a bit, Brad. Have you heard about the new book, How to Fight Tigers?
I haven't.
You haven't? No, it's written by a guy called Claw Balls. What about the book, My Life as a Russian with 3 Testicles?
I don't know.
It's written by Hujanika Bolokov. I really recommend it. What about the new guide on how to steal cars in Tokyo by Tommy Tukamoto? You heard about that one? What about the one of Indian Carpentry for Beginners? Ahmedashed. These are great. These are how you tell jokes with a racial slant without being offensive, dickwads. It's not hard. I got a good one. It's like, I bought my friend an elephant. I said, oh, thank you. Don't mention it.
What did Cinderella say when her photos didn't arrive on time?
I don't know. What did she say?
One day my prince will come. That's pretty bad.
It is, isn't it? You know what, though, Brad? I don't think any of these jokes appeal, to the teenage, edgy, meme lord crowd. So should we end with one offensive joke?
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll tell you my most offensive joke, and that is, what's brown and runs around a garden?
I don't know.
A fence. Hey! Da, 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 da. Jokes your dad used to tell.